One form of storytelling that'll never get old, that I'll always love, is the hero's journey. A format of story that will always connect with any guy that watches, that speaks to that part of you that wants to be more, inspires you to take on new challenges, removing yourself from any comfort zones with the thought there's more to life than the mundane day-to-day existence. And the reason why so many movies, shows, and anime that choose to adopt this story become popular is because we sort of live vicariously through them. And there's one part of the hero's journey I'll always love, and it's when the protagonist takes on a mentor and is assigned the first task to prove themselves worthy to carry out the adventure they're willing to set out on. And to be honest, anime is really the only medium where I still see the hero's journey play out these days to some degree. Something that the West used to do well but has completely abandoned for reasons I can assume, but we'll save for another video. But for this video, I'll explain some of my favorite anime to exemplify this moment I'm talking about. First, one movie I think lays this out well is Star Wars. Luke longs for something more in life outside of his home village, feeling a certain call to adventure as he looks out. He comes across Obi-Wan, who takes him on as a mentor, and what causes Luke to embark on this new journey is the death of his guardians. I think one of them is his uncle, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. And during this journey, they meet new people with other personalities. While Luke is an optimist and a bit naive due to lack of experience, Han Solo is more cynical due to having more life experience and dealing with different people and beings.
You don't believe in the Force, do you?
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all-powerful force controlling everything.
Slowly, Luke learns the basics of what the Force is and how to use it, and Obi-Wan challenges him to deflect lasers while blindfolded as a sort of first task to test his potential that is usually innate in the hero that the mentor perceives to be unusual but promising. And once completing the first task, that serves as the stepping stone that many other lessons will be drawn from and will lead to their growth as a more sophisticated hero in the end.
You know, I did feel something. I could almost see the remote.
That's good. You've taken your first step into a larger world.
Tanjiro is similar to Luke. On what propelled him on his journey was the death of his family. Motivated to find a cure for Nezuko, with Giyu realizing something uniquely about him, pushing him to be recognized by his soon-to-be mentor, who after a good deal of training, assigned him his first task of breaking the boulder, a scene that I reference a lot because it's my favorite one, to prove if he's truly worthy of being a Demon Slayer. A task that seems impossible at first, but later down the line will seem like child's play. And as Luke has met his new group of friends, Tanjiro comes across his, with Inosuke especially holding a different personality than his own. Ippo, whose constant bullying becomes unbearable, pushes him to want to be more, the type of man who can't be bullied and can stand up for himself. He gets a glimpse of what he can be, begging Takamura to be his mentor, and though he's shown to have potential with strength above average, he must first prove himself worthy with the task of catching the 10 leaves in a row, a task meant to prove his determination and commitment to the lifestyle of boxing. And through willpower, he proves himself in this task and takes on a whole new group of friends that eventually welcomes him into the boxing gym. Goku, who has well above average talent and potential for greatness, sets out with Bulma on an epic adventure, eventually meeting his soon-to-be mentor, Master Roshi, who also notices his innate talent that separates him from the rest, being able to easily pick up on the Kamehameha so simply and quickly. He gives him a task of, I guess you could say, finding a rock that Krillin Chitamata but Karma catches up to anyways. Or maybe you could say him being able to move the boulder is probably the more legit first task, but you get my point. And he also becomes part of a new friend group of people with many personalities. Naruto, another hero with innate talent literally dormant with the foxtail. Now him is a little different or tricky. I guess you could say his first mentor is Kakashi, but it's hard to determine his first legit task. You could say it's catching the bells, but has a lesson within itself, which is not really about catching the bells. Or maybe standing upside down from the branch with Sasuke. Or you could say more officially is when he is mentored by Jiraiya, and his first task by him is learning the Rasengan. I think that's more appropriate because he literally leaves the village and returns years later a new man, at least in appearance and strength, not so much personality. Because that's always part of the hero's journey. When the hero leaves his village, then returns a completely new man, almost unrecognizable. And that transformation occurs with Jiraiya, so I guess that's technically academically more correct. And of course, Sasuke and Sakura are his friend group, with Sasuke's personality completely different from Naruto's himself. Deku, who All Might sees as having a unique disposition, innately worthy of carrying on One for All, but first must go through the task of proving himself by going through rigorous exercises to make sure his body is even capable to inherit it. And after all that bullshit crying, he eventually does. Edward Elric, who for sure shows above average potential as an alchemist, not even needing a transmutation circle, he sets out on the journey from their home village to restore his brother's body. He comes across his mentor, Izumi Curtis, shout out to her, who gives him his first task of surviving on an island, as well as learning the fundamentals of alchemy and how everything is connected. And he's someone who also returns home a different man after his voyage. You can see this archetype play out many times, even with Gon and Hunter x Hunter. And notice how they all share the same disposition. They're very much optimists, always seeing the good in people that no one else does, making them a bit of naive as well. They always have a you can do it attitude, never give up, and they always have a counterpart of an opposite personality. Goku has Vegeta, but I guess first maybe you could say Yamcha or Bulma maybe. Gon and Killua, Naruto, Sasuke, Deku, Bakuga, Ippo, Ichiro. Edward, it's a little difficult, maybe Mustang, I guess you could say. But their counterpart is always a much more serious person, realistic or pessimistic, that sort of balances them out, like Luke and Han Solo do. Now, one hero's journey that's similar, but also shows how it can differ, is Goblin Slayer, where of course, when he's young, he wants to venture out to the big city, and what propels him to do so is a very traumatizing tragedy, which I won't spoil for this video because it's a real hard pill to swallow. But he meets his mentor out of desperation to be better and stronger, willing to take any abuse to do so. And his first task is different. It's a riddle, which I would have failed because I suck at riddles, but it's a task to prove his worthiness nonetheless. A riddle and puzzle meant to test his will to act, something he regrets not doing when his village and home was being pillaged by goblins, with him cowering and hiding. His mentor aggressively is trying to push him past this fear, with the main lesson of making a decision and acting on it is how you win. You know, it's funny, as I'm making this video, I'm reminded that this same sequence plays out in Batman Begins, where Bruce is scolded by his mentor when not acting in the face of his parents' death. Ra's al Ghul lectures him ruthlessly that it all begins with the will to act, dismissing any excuses Bruce tries to make.
Your parents' death was not your fault. It was your father's. Anger does not change the fact that your father failed to act.
The man had a gun.
Would that stop you? Training is nothing. The will is everything. The will to act.
And with Goblin Slayer, he must answer quickly without stall or he'll die instantly, trying to instill that death doesn't wait for you to make your mind up, the will to act.
The will to act.
And Goblin Slayer's disposition is completely different. He's much more serious, concise, cold, not unfriendly, but not the most welcoming. For the better part of his journey, he remains alone until later in life. And as all the other heroes do, he returns home a changed man to his busty old friend, welcoming him with open arms. Yeah. Now, as I said, the hero's journey is a story that will always be around. There's a reason why there are so many motivational videos with these clips from these anime, especially Hajime no Ippo and Demon Slayer, that are geared towards men. It's something that speaks to the soul in us, that makes us want to be better, that makes us want to take some hits with the results of overcoming them, going through the mud, dirt, trenches, and war, and coming out on the other end a completely different person, transformed, unrecognizable to anyone that knew us prior. Even rewatching some of these clips, I still get goosebumps. I remember a coach saying that when he coached the men's team, yelling loudly at them, scolding them, inspired them to be better. But when coaching the girls' team, that tactic didn't work in the same way, and that he had to speak more softly. And that's why the hero's journey really resonates with men. That struggle that every man faces, that when we watch it play out in these movies, shows, or anime, we immediately relate to those early stages when the character felt worthless, powerless, but at the same time provides a roadmap to overcome that feeling, giving us hope and a display of what we can be if we go through that same process. But that's all I have for this video. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. What are some stories you think fits the hero's journey, past or recent? If you haven't already, check out my music on Spotify, link in the description below. If you love those Samurai Champloo, lo-fi, mellow boom bap vibes, then my music is definitely for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Free think, peace.